able to come to the rescue. And the interesting thing about that team, Sakara, is because they are one of the biggest examples of a team who needs and has shown that working hard will put you higher into the fray. No pun intended.
Definitely had that pun intended. I got you. That was good.
I was saving that one for the finals.
Yeah, you know, it was a good one. But look at this, Rocky Reels. And an engagement that took a while in the last match has now already been finished. Chicho Trulex have come out on top, have gotten those 2 eliminations. And the third party is not going to be coming in since they got that so quickly this time.
Yeah, and the big thing for them was coming back in game 2 and just getting things dealt with quickly, right? I talked about it last game. Trulex is known as the Rocky owner, right? He rolls through this POI and he just stomps everybody out. Right, but of course, game 1 with the way it started wasn't ideal. They've amended that now, and now they need to continue to do that if they truly want to be the Rocky owners this season.
Let's look at Thomas and Tripper, though. They're here in the Rave Cave. Last match, they had a rocky early game, forced Thomas to get rebooted later on as Tripper and had to kind of make a little excavation in the ocean, swimming around to a reboot van. But now if they're able to get out of there quicker with loot, with materials, and focus more on the rotate and what they need to do for the late game, we could see them popping off as now Art Skill. T-Chips, nice shot connecting. One more needed for the knock. They have to be careful, the players that are getting pushed, as Mixon gets into the box. One shot as he cracks his opponent, and now this engagement continues forwards.
You say get into the box. I don't think he had much choice there, but turning the tide indeed, because he will take Art Skill out. And now looking to do the same one to T-Chips as well, I'm sure. But is Art's going to be able to come in and start helping? Because if they can pincer him in, it will be almost impossible for T-Chips to deal with him. He doesn't have much by way of materials. And the loadout isn't amazing, but you can see now as well, ADN and Hardfine rolling in, lurking in the shadows, ready to strike. The opportunity certainly is there. They are just waiting for a timing, and maybe this will be the timing. They've missed out on T-Chips, which is unfortunate, but there is still plenty of opportunities to deal damage, and Mixon will be the one that feels that.
The laser coming through. Hardfine, though, has also gone very low here, as it seems that another duo is close by. It's Tayson, it's Chapix, fourth party, fifth party. The engagement around here has gotten that much more dangerous as Hardfine goes down, leaving ADN alone. Now Tayson, Chapix are the ones that want to show and want to insert that dominance.
And this is what makes Tayson and Chapix such a scary duo. They sniff out the danger and they come rolling through. Literally do not care who it is. They will push into anybody if they think the opportunity is there. We'll see exactly how Tayson did it. Oh, just a nice little cheeky shot there.
Nice little pick off of his opponent. And now I'm curious to see what's next for this duo. They're going to continue forwards, or are they going to decide that they want a bit more of that food? As now Joe and Andy, Z-Andy, continuing to make a rotate from the Synapse station, still uncontested. And I like to see this in the first place spot currently. We saw what they did down in the dirt last match. They weren't up above, but they still got almost double-digit elims, 9 elims, and a second place. That is a great way to start off the day.
Yeah, not a shabby start whatsoever. I think the big thing is we've seen great starts in FNCS finals in the past, and a great start doesn't guarantee a great finish, right? It is all about staying consistent, especially with how many games there are, right? We always see great day one performances and lackluster day two ones. What team will you be? Will you be a team that has a great day one, poor day two, maybe a poor day one and a great day two? Or can you be what most of the winners end up being, and that is phenomenal across the 2 days? For Vico and Jackson, the start is definitely ideal, right? You can't get better than a victory royale really at the start. But it is certainly not finished yet. The job is far from done.
And now the patience. The shots coming through. You said it yourself. It's not about just the moment. It's about the whole tournament, the whole thing. As Vico and Jackson decide that they've got the tags, they've got a lot of damage, but nothing worth moving for. They're going to build up their tower, get them in that little nice storm surge position. The angles for Joe and Ziandi are also looking amazing on top of this rocky hill.
Yeah, it's a nice position. We obviously saw them earlier. They rifted and looked to come here. And this is exactly why, because they knew they'd be in a somewhat of the epicenter of this southern side of the map, right? Up so high above, they can just see so much in the surrounding POIs.
Thomas and Tripperin, they've made it out of the Rave Cave without a scratch on them this time. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be able to do moving forwards, as now they were kind of caught off guard down below in the river as Hydro and Belusi were up above, able to take shots at them. So they quickly decided maybe not the best position to continue rotating through. But for Seti and Cammy, playing what they know. They have their route. They have it practiced. They have it planned. And it's all about consistency for this duo.
Of course, we know that when their plan is clicking, they are a team capable of just completely just making Fortnite look very, very simple, right? Fortnite can be a very complicated game at the highest level, right? But these guys make it look easy. A team that certainly doesn't make their lives easy is Vortex and High Chris, with all their constant fighting off spawn. But it's something that they are comfortable with now. This is going to be very interesting. Queasy and Vino, is this something they've been cooking up in the break? Everybody knows that Andalex and Snazy like to position like this up in Coney. And Vino and Queasy clearly looking to try to take advantage of that. Snazy is down below and Vino will hear him and already looking to find control in this fight. Can't afford to be over aggressive because Snazy is no easy opponent. But you're already seeing the intention from these two.
I don't know what they were cooking, Levin, but it's smelling good as they got the initial shot but weren't able to continue forwards. It looks like they want to get that damage early on. They want to do what they can before it's too risky later and even take the position up above. Queasy kind of said, thanks for building this tower. I'm going to take the top box and now it's mine. But his duo partner Vino is still down below, scouting the situation, as now it seems that they have been able to regroup up above. And with the zone about to close, it's going to open up the chance for these duos to pick out their rotate moving forwards.
Pulling over towards the sanctuary as well. And so a zone that I've seen both of these teams be very successful with in the past. Will they be able to replicate that again, though?
Replicating, adapting, rotating. That's what Fortnite's all about. But I want to see a rotate that came through from Vico and Jackson. Mini Miner, what'd you see?
Of course, Vico and Jackson are game one winners. I just want to dissect a little bit as to how they went about that. Look at this, though, from Vico. He's breaking these barrels down to 1 HP, waiting for Jackson to come over, and then they can both benefit from all of the HP that these barrels offer. Of course, that just kicks off their rotate, because then they can go all the way to the more easterly side of the map, because if you remember in the last game that they won, they had the zone right on their back garden, so they could just sit around tilted. This time, they've decided to rotate as much further east as possible, just in case of that east side zone, and as you just saw on the screen, it has pulled east, so they can now get in an early position and hopefully replicate game one success.
Rotates are really key. It's all about knowing what you're going to do before it happens. And if that scenario pops out and they get, for example, an east side zone like Vico and Jackson just got, they're already ready for it. They've already began their rotate. And Pink and Anas here, remember, they do land in the Jonesies. They have Gooden. They have Hellfire, Flois close by in that early game engagement. But without any eliminations on the board, I'm wondering if they're taking advantage of that to get a bit of tags. And you can even see Gooden there and Vacant. They're close by and they're still up. But for Jerky and iDrop, they're more close to the edge of the zone here. With just 10 seconds until it starts closing, they might be able to find some of these duos rotating and be able to get some tags on them.
I think the big question for this team was always going to be, if the zone isn't pulling towards that north or northwest, how exactly are they going to handle getting their storm surge? And of course, that responsibility typically falls on iDrop. He is the IGL, the leader of that team. And a similar question will be asked of Mr. Savage, of course, the one who looks to lead this team of Hen. And you could argue for both teams, the decisions haven't always been quite top-notch. This is not great for Sangil, though. Oh. We've just hopped into the middle of this fight, and it's not one that I think Sangil would have wanted us to see, because he will fall. Loki does great, though, actually, to pick up hard find. And so it's not finished yet. If he can connect onto ADN, which is exactly what he's going to do, his team remains in the game. ADN made sure to take out Sangil, though. He wanted them points, so props to Aiden, but unfortunately, it won't affect them too much, right? Loki will be able to pick Sangil back up.
Right, that's the good news, right? They had the reboot van close by. We didn't even have to go too far to get his duo partner back up, but be careful. Look at this. Tayson and Chapix crouched in the bush, but it looks like Paco and Krusty, not sure if it was just awareness, checking, making sure there's people there. They already knew beforehand, but they didn't put themselves in that surprise situation. We walk into a bush, Tayson Chapix there waiting for you. As now already 3 limbs on the board for this duo. 434 above the Storm Surge threshold. They don't need more damage. They're already in the zone. But if they have the chance to, Krusty and Paco now recuperating the shield they lost. I'm not sure if this is going to go all out, but it looks like Paco and Krusty, they need it. 167 below. They want to get this damage.
Yeah, some damage that will be essential, but look who they're trying to take damage against. Tayson and Chapix. It's never a fight you really want to take if you don't have to. And already they're paying for it. Krusty, unfortunately, fell. That's tough, man. That's tough. You need Storm Surge. And look who you have to fight for it against. Tayson and Chapix. My, oh my. They are doing very well when it comes to Surge, though. 800 above. And so if Tayson is to fall here, it would make it even more disappointing, because they have not everything they need, but certainly an upper hand on the rest of the lobby. Paco is trying to avenge Krusty with all he can, with all his heart. And that might just be enough to disturb them in their pursuit of a win here. He is just being such a thorn in their side. I'm sure they'll be very frustrated they haven't been able to take him out quicker.
Ooh, Paco's hitting his shots, though. He is stinging for Tayson and Chapix, though, as they keep using more and more chug splashes. But this could be it, the turning factor, as Chapix and Tayson have connected the shots they needed to. But Paco, he's still up, even if he's one shot away. But there it is. After a while, he has been taken down. Next zone has appeared. It's close by. The rotate isn't too far.
Yeah, they were finally able to get the job done on that one, but again, it did take them a while. Fortunately, they are quite the way ahead of the rest of their opponents. They do have a shorter distance to get to the zone than others, and so they shouldn't struggle too much to get there.
Ooh. This is a duo I like to see. 3 elims on the board already. In the top 5 in 3rd place with a drop spot that it's difficult to work with. But seeing where the zone pulled more to the east side, they're feeling good in this match. They already land by the Mighty Monument. So being so close, they didn't have to do a far rotate at all, which is why they already have such a dominant position. But for Tripper and Thomas, 78 above, barely walking the way into zone here. Forced to use charges on their grapple glove. Now dropped below the Storm Surge threshold. This is not the position you want to be in.
Yeah, but again, it's Thomas HD. I don't know if I may be giving him too much credit here, but when they're below Surge, he does not struggle to get them back above, typically, right? Typically. And of course, they're not looking too strong, right? They could have way more materials, and I'm sure they'd love some shields as well. But when it comes down to it, I do expect Thomas to hit the necessary shots to get them back up. Flixie hitting the necessary shots to take Pachawa out there. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that team does across the rest of the game. But I would expect a masterclass from the Danes, especially after a disappointing first game.
But for Frey and Flixie, not looking disappointing at them at all right now. But as we switch over to Stormy Right default, they are looking to have something here. High Chris close by, 26 below, just 1 shot away, but what are they gonna have to do to get it? They don't want to risk it all, but sometimes if you wait too long and the clock keeps ticking, you get yourself into a situation where you don't have much of a choice as Chris, trying to hold as much as possible. He's not in the nervous position where he has to get damage done. So Vortex and Chris, they can play it slow here. They can chill out and let their opponents take the damage, make sure they don't get any. And once it's the perfect moment to strike, they get that shot, already having the upper hand before.
The problem is there's nothing too chill, right? When you have two very hungry players knocking on your door. It's all about men making sure they keep their separation and disrupt their rhythm. And that's exactly what they seem to be doing. Chris and Vortex. Chris doing a great job of dealing a bit of damage there just to push those two back.
Just 15 seconds left until the zone begins to close. You can see the rotate they have to make at the bottom right. The mini-map shows it, but for Joe and Ziandi, they're in a better spot to not have to get out of an engagement to rotate. You can see the three duos southwest of them, and now all looking at each other. Meanwhile, getting shot from the duos already based up inside the zone, making it that much more difficult to continue forwards. But Joe and Ziandi have done it. Made it into zone, 37 above, and now at that position, gonna have openings onto these players that are rotating in. But for Tripper and Thomas, they have to make something happen here. They have the damage, no shields to work with. One shot away for Thomas. If someone spits from above and it lands on Thomas's head, that might just be enough to take him out of this match.
These guys are scuffed right now, and they do have players with eyes on them. This is such a risky grapple play. Well, it was the play he needed to make to move into zone. The question is, will they be able to survive with so many shots being taken and no materials to defend themselves? What can they do? It's not looking good, especially with Vico in his box. Thomas is no match there. Not something you'll hear me say many often, but for Vico and Jackson, they are on fire right now, and they will take out Tripp and Thomas with ease. And even though I say ease, Jackson did actually go down on the way. Vico, though, certainly making things look easy.
Vico picking up his partner. And now the question is, are they going to carry it? They've been carrying the momentum so far. Looking so good with those two little presents that came into them. But now, seems that they have pulled this half in, half out fifth zone. This is a strong start for the duo, but for Vino and Queasy, looks like they're trying to scout out some of the opponents here. Picking up the loot that was left behind, scavenging as their opponents quickly see. Say, no, no, no. I don't want you taking my loot, but nothing too dangerous.
What's going on here with Pink and Anas? Okay, ooh, a big 170 shot there from Pink to keep him alive. That really was looking like he was going to go down for a second. But nonetheless, Default will be taken out, and they'll also deal with his teammate Stormy, right? So a nice pair of limbs for this team. Again, maybe showing off that fighting prowess I was talking about earlier. And a decent amount above with grapple gloves and max materials. Spoiler alert, this team's about to have a cracking game.
You said it yourself. They had trouble getting those elims before, but now it looks like they've crossed that out of the book of mistakes as they're continuing strong. But for Jerky Eye Drop, they're also doing a great job. They have the damage, too many shields to work with, only one for his duo partner. So the shields are a little low, but already being in zone, being in this fifth zone with the damage you need, they're off to a good start.
Yeah, but it's not just about the start, it's about finishing off things as well. Malabuka and Mustache up elevated as they wait for the zone to pull, and this will give them plenty of options in terms of where they choose to go. The lobby has decided that they must go towards the southeast, closer and closer to the sanctuary. And you're already seeing teams making their move. Flixie and Frey at the bottom of your screen started to rotate. DKS and the Siptos are going to have to start thinking about what they want to do. They do have the option, certainly, but it isn't going to be the easiest of rotations to make, as there's so many players beneath them that will have to make a move on.
Not going to be easy at all, but a common theme that we've seen is game one, the high ground doesn't get contested as much, but in game two it does. And for the high ground winning team, Vico and Jackson in the last match, the tables have quickly turned. Vico has been knocked down. Jackson now left alone, 23 health to work with, no shields on the board, but his duo partner has not been finished. He's going to try and pick him up here. The zone gets closer and closer. They'll have to make an edge rotate, but they might just be able to recuperate their position.
They are so fortunate that they are able to stay in this game. That went so badly for them, but they still have a fighting chance. Oh, Queasy, Vino, they're looking to take height off of Frame. Flixie, the ones who wanted to try it, and they will quickly be snuffed out. Queasy jumping around from top to top, getting into boxes as well, trying to close things out. Eventually will be forced to go back up to height. But while he's been away, it seems like his high ground's been taken. It's Refscard and Clown who are up above. Vino wasn't able to hold it, and so now that duo gets forced down, and it's another duo now coming into the picture. Mustache hitting a big shot onto Artur. So much chaos ensuing all across the lobby, and all these teams, all these players trying their best to find any solid footing.
And for Jackson, he has lost his duo partner, now forced to play it alone, but Chafix with 5, Payson with 3. The rotate continues through, but the aggression from the players does as well. The shots don't stop coming in, but for Seti and Cammy, making use of those grapple gloves, conserving those materials, keeping the rotates coming through, staying up as a duo, just like Hellfire and Flowish are doing here, continuing to play it for that consistency. But Mustache, he's a demon, and he's on fire.
Mustache as a solo, looking to try and do all he can to clutch things up. He's shown us great clutches in the past, and now looking to do so again. Certainly has the materials to stay in the game for just that bit longer, and an armored wall might go a long way in keeping him up as well. For Vino and Queasy, they need to redeem themselves. These are two players who are renowned for their height takes, who just haven't been able to hold it thus far. And so can they still keep themselves in this game? Can they do what the likes of Hellfire are doing? Cleaning players out on their layer. Oh, what is this? Oh, these players are going off.
They're feeling good, but for Vino and Queasy, they might be able to. Vino goes down, though. He knocks and knocks along with him. Queasy now, from having the high ground in the early, now down below in the dirt, digging for some loot as DKS has lost his duo partner. Pink still up, 4 eliminations, has the confidence, has the momentum, but with duos in front of him, he has to pick the right path to not put himself in a situation where he's going to go down. Janet getting eliminated. Hellfire, Flo is still up as a duo, looking to get a bit of real estate down below. Gets the pre-edit, gets the shot, but Hellfire's cracked.
You can see they want to claim low ground, but it's never an easy feat for Pink, though. He's going to keep on fighting, and he's going to keep on hitting shots as well. Moving himself now to the front of the zone, but if he's not careful, some very hungry teams with him. Chico and Trulex, Hellfire as well is there. Clown and Refscard, they are just having to do everything to people up. They're doing so much above. No materials left, dancing around builds, edits, trying to find an angle, connect to that shot.
It's a clutch!
Are you kidding? How has he managed to do it? He's still alive to control, and Refscard is looking to take that fight, but is it a fight he really wants to take? When Pink is hitting shots like this, how are you managing to do it? He fights him as well. He won't. Refscard will end that game for Pink, and now he will have to try and go back up above. Clown is no longer here, and so it's just him against Refscard and Hellfire. A 1v1 to win game 2. Can Hellfire do it? He can. 6 eliminations all to himself. Wow.
What a game. It looks like there was a boss down below taking out player after player. Pink going insane, but ultimately it was where the cleanup needed to happen. So many things changed throughout that match. Refscard and Clown, they were up above, but quickly enough, the tables turned.
Still just lost for words after the things we've just seen down below. Look, props to Hellfire.
Está clap de Martín, tabla bonere.
Eliminations for your team and win the game is never an easy thing to do in this lobby, especially when we have players hitting the kind of shots we've seen them hit. But for them, game 2 is theirs. They will now look to try and continue on that pace. I'm still going crazy though at Pink UK. My goodness, the shots he was hitting were insane.
It was incredible, but what mattered was Hellfire at the end. He saw that there was a party going down below. There was dances, there was emotes, but he was able to clean up that party from above and get the VR, which is what's going to give them a majority of those placement points. But I want to see how that shakes up the leaderboard. So let's hand it on over to Zeke, Taco, and Reese. Let us know what happened.
Oh, man. There's so much to unpack from that last game. We're going to get to all of it, but I have to start here with Hellfire and Flawless. To get a victory royale in finals is such a huge statement for the duo.
ראיתי בכובע של 38.
The thing is, like, a lot of these teams, when you say the word momentum, it's generic. It means nothing. But honestly, for a guy like Hellfire, it's very, very important because he's easily tilted, right? But similarly, if things go good, he carries on that. He uses that to continue on throughout the rest of the tournament. I love these guys, and the fact that they're starting off so strong is awesome.
Love that closeout as well. And he just took a great job of controlling that low ground and especially waiting for that challenge between Resguard and Pink to actually consistently follow through. As soon as it cleaned up, as soon as it completed, he went for the immediate cleanup. So timing was impeccable, and I think composure was even better.
Right, let's take a look. So obviously, the change eliminations, the Victory Royale is now contributing to Flawless and Hellfire jumping up to the top, right? Zandy and Joe, we saw them perform last game, and though we didn't see too much of them, it's still enough to kind of keep them in second place. Vico, Jackson, game 1, Victory Royale, and still they're holding top 3 after game 2.
I think the biggest, I was going to say the biggest, there's a lot of big movements as you can see. Fifth place, Pink and Ask, up 16 points. Like, how can we not talk about that clutch? How can we not highlight how good Pink has gotten? His progression this season alongside Anas has been unbelievable. I have not seen a more improved duo than Pink and Anas this year. No doubt.
The fluidity was probably the most impressive part about it all. In this clutch in particular, a solo against a duo just absolutely wiping the floor there with Chico. Granted, a little bit of an unfortunate finish there, but you could tell that Pink, he was feeling it. He was feeling himself, and it's that kind of confidence that I think is really going to try and carry the remaining.
We were freaking out here. As soon as it came to the 1v1 against Resguard, we were ready for the full clutch in the Victory Royale.
Just not enough HP.
Yeah, I just missed out at the end there. But who else we got on this leaderboard? You know, I'm thinking guys like Queasy Vino as well. Like, people who we see move up now 2 placements, right? And this is kind of the thing that a lot of the champions, a lot of the people who you're expecting your top 5 to do, they're not having one good game. Now they're getting into end game, second game. It'll be third, fourth, fifth, and you're just going to keep seeing it game after game.
One of the most impressive parts, though, about this duo is just you can see how tactical Queasy is with every single choice he's making throughout this lobby, because there were instances where when they had the high ground control, for example, Queasy actually chose to disengage, and I think a lot of players would really get caught up in the moment. They'd want to look for the finalization on that elim, but Queasy, he doesn't chase it. He knows if I can just maintain high ground control, if I can just fall back to where Vino was at, because Vino actually ended up losing that high ground to Resguard and falling off push, so it's really impactful, I think, just for him to have that high-level understanding.
See, you saw it say they disengaged, and they did. That was great, but they did commit a little bit too long, because that's actually what lost them high ground to Resguard right there, which is a shame, but of course, hey, we got a bunch of games left for them to do good. Tayson and Chapix. How can we not? Again, there's so many highlights in this already. We saw them go off drop against Xweez and Podesai. 1 straight white floor done. Sorry, you're gone. Then we saw them push ADN as well. Now we're seeing them, what I think that was Krusty and Paco they fought. By the 3rd zone, we're like 8, 9, 10, I don't know how many minutes, a bunch of minutes into the game at that point, and they already have 5 elims starting strong. If they want to win a championship while being contested off spawn, they have to do stuff like this where they make the most of those games that they do win against Xweez.
Yeah, Chapik's taking that 10th place from you on Twitter a little bit personally.
I hope so.
Like, because he has just been on fire here. 5 elims as well to boot. It's just a really impressive start for this duo.
I'm telling you, you're talking about their place in 10th. I predicted them in 10th overall, but I have a tweet ready for if they come first.
Okay. I like to see that. We still have a little bit before we jump on that bus.
Yeah.
How are we feeling after just 2 games, right? It's still kind of a little bit too early to tell, but I want to get your thoughts after the first 2 games.
I think we're starting to see the trends now, right? Some of the top teams, Queasy, Vino, Tayson, doing highlight moments, continually being there, being in the discussion again. You know, we're probably going to see some of the teams who've had 1 or 2 good games start to drop out as the day starts to go on, as we usually do in a 2-day format.
And again, with 12 rounds total, it is definitely difficult to maintain a certain type of pacing, but the one that's been established so far, it's rapid, it's quick, it's all of these duos moving seamlessly at once just to try and find any sort of advantage that they can.
So many of these duos, they're ready, right? They're ready to go. They're turning it on. This is what finals has to offer. And now what we have to offer is game number 3. So let's get into it. Game 3.
תן לי חושבים לנצח את המשחק.
Thank you very much, Zeke, Taco, and Reese. What a breakdown
מי
that
יכול
was,
לבדיל
and what a break
וג'ני.
in the games it has been. I feel like every single time we head into that end game, we never know what we're really going to get. And I can just promise you that in game 3 is going to be much more of the same level Fortnite action.
I mean, in the finals, you never really know. There's so many amazing players in the same lobby competing that anybody can take home a match. Especially when we have players like Tyson and Chapix being contested. He said it himself. They have to make the most out of their matches. When they get to the end game, they have to be able to pop off. Because if you go down early, that's a 0-point match. You have 12 matches to be played out. So alongside some 0-point matches, you need those big games.
Yeah, and if anybody can, it's going to be those two. They've just been in such top form all season long. And I think even them will be wishing they would have had it uncon, because if they did, it would have been scary and not for them. You know, the rest of the lobby would have been in tatters if it wasn't for that. But, of course, the chance is always going to be there. They will have to hope, though, some of these other teams that have started off incredibly well will start to drop off them.
Right. If these teams are able to stay consistent at the end of these matches, we'll see the leaderboard. I mean, we'll kind of, after day 1, you can get a sense of what day 2 is going to be like, but everything can change. And now we're going to be changing to the match because these players are ready. The bus is ready. Let's get into it.
Let's get right in. We got the battle bus loaded with players, all hungry to try and either redeem themselves after game 2 or look to do more of the same in game 3. For Fire Hunter and Sined,
1v1.
currently sitting in 24th place. What is the path to moving up in the standings for this team? A lot of it will be revolving around staying alive and getting surged. Oh, dearie me.
למה אתה רואה את זה חלב? לא, אבל אז ישמעו אותך גם בדיוק. אבל אז הם ישמעו.
Is still active. And can Tayson take him out? He can. Tayson. What a player. Comes in clutch when needed. Is always there to back his boy. And so even though Chapix was taken down, they remain in the game. They get another opportunity to show what they can do.
That's scary, though. In the previous early games, Tayson and Chapix have both been up after the engagement. But now, with Tayson alone, it opens up the opportunity for those third parties to come in. But for Frey and Flixie, it looks like they've got their drops on lockdown, landing directly on that striker pump shot, able to clean up his opponents. In the early game, in those first fights, it's all about your drop.
Yeah, for sure.
יש מלא אנשים שכבר לא לא טובים. תגיד את השם.
Regardless.
As now, Vico left alone as a solo. Jackson has been knocked down, not fully finished yet, but it looks like Hen now is going to finish that up. Remember, Mr. Savage and Hen here in Tilted Towers being contested by Vico and Jackson. Vico and Jackson look to be one of the most dominant duos today, but they ran risky situations in the late game of the last match, but hopefully they can recuperate fast. And speaking about recuperating, hopefully Mr. Savage and Hen can do the same here. But for Joe and Ziandi, it's not about recuperation, it's about maintaining the spot they're in.
Yeah, this is a team that has been really impressive so far today. I think one of the big parts of their game that has made them successful is how aggressive they can be in making sure they are up to scratch when it comes to Surge in the mid game. Last season, they didn't have to worry about that. They just won their off-spawn fights and went about their day. Here at Reality Falls.
Once again, and it looks like Fakey is going to go getting cracked. Hi, Chris, with full shield, has the upper hand. Continue running through the builds, running through his options to try and finish this engagement. as quickly as he can.
מה, בטוויץ'?
Fakey,
תשנה
the
איכות.
more time he gives him, the more shield he's gonna have. Turns around quickly, and Hikers actually goes down. Fakey turning this engagement around, and with enough time to pick up his duo partner.
Yeah, we say turning it around. It was a
וואי,
2v1,
תומאס,
right? So,
וואי, זה טמנטור שלא חשבתי עליו.
although he made it look
אז לא ראית אותו בטבלה.
The more time he gives him, the more shield he's gonna have. Turns around quickly, and Hikers actually goes down.
טריפל ותומאס כל טורניר שהוא היו עד עכשיו בעונה,
around and with
הגיעו בטופ
enough time
3.
to pick up his duo partner.
כאילו כל טורניר לא
was a
הפסיס,
2v1,
כל
right?
קאש
So,
כלפיך, הם
hi, Chris.
הגיעו טופ 3.
although he made it look good at some points, it was never going to be an easy situation for him to win. Struggling, and it's going to be. Looks like we have a change in who controls the vote this game, though. Thomas and Trippen will be the ones to open it up, or at least the ones to farm the material out of it, which is even more important, you could argue. Stormy right and default, another game where they seem to be struggling, and it's going to be in a fight against Vortexes and Bevies.
Engagement is going to come to an end soon as Vortexes only has one more build to work with, but Bevies, on the other hand, a full inventory of it as Stormy right and default do go down here. Bevies now going to pick up Vortexers. That was a close one.
Yeah, and to be fair, Bevies and Vortexes aren't, you know, the most flashiest of names in the EU, but certainly a team that's not been too bad this season. Of course, they are here in the finals, which says everything you need to know, but as well have had some decent showings in some games across this season. And I think winning a fight like that definitely gives you the kind of momentum needed to go on and have a good game.
For JJ2 and Aware in the Sleepy Sound, South side trying to claim their POI here. Two duos in the surroundings, Lucia and Afrizzi, and more opponents on the north side, but switching back over to Pink and Anas. I know Pink is feeling good right now, Anas as well. From that last match, now going into this third one, 12 chug splashes just for Pink with the legendary burst assault rifle. I'm not sure what Anas is holding, but Pink's loadout is enough loot for a whole duo.
Well, maybe not enough for a whole duo, but certainly a good amount of loot, right? And more important than the loot, it is about the positioning, the way they're playing. You can see how aggressive Pink was being in terms of looking to try and take some 50-50 trades, deal some damage for Storm Surge. Something that we'll see plenty of teams doing all across the map. But something that they've mastered, Pink and Anas. They've been so strong this season.
Now switching over to the southern side of the map. Reason, Noah. They do have their drop spot uncontested, unlike a lot of the qualifiers where they were contested by Nebs and Marine. But looking back over at Tilted Towers, we saw how the early game engagement went for Vico and Jackson, where Jackson got taken out very quickly, left Vico alone. But it looks like Vico, he's gone back into the Tilted Towers. Meanwhile, Mr. Savage and Hen are continuing to farm up, but it looks like they might have sniffed them out. They say something smells weird around here. Could be a Vico, could be a Jackson.
Oh.
But they might.
מצד אחד יש לו סטרייקר לג'נדרי, ומצד שני יש לו ירפו.
Yeah, the engagement between these two isn't one that I think favors Mr. Savage and Hen particularly. I think their best bet is to try and avoid fighting Vico and Jackson game after game. Vino and Queasy though. What's the story here today in the mid game? We obviously saw last game some of their antics towards the Coney Crossroads. This time round though, in a bit of a different area. Just sort of taking shots all around to any teams that make themselves available. Which I guess is fine as long as they aren't getting caught behind in the zone.
For Hellfire and Flois, we talked about this duo. They made a quick change, dropping in the Coney Crossroads, switching their drop spot completely to the east side islands by the Mighty Monument, where you have a grapple glove spawn.
במה אתה צופך? אבל אתה צופך בזנדי ובג'וי.
To see if they're giving up the grapple glove or not. But meanwhile, you have duos in the center of the map, almost able to reach the stars from how high up they are.
Yeah, look at how good of a position Joe and Ziandi are in. This is somewhere we've seen them quite a few times already today. Mini Miner, we're going to bring you in. How exactly did they get here, my friend?
Of course, landing down at the sign-up station, they're using the Rift. And what I really, really like about this, the reason why I want to highlight it, is they're actually using a very, very smart tactic. They're not landing together. Most teams would land right next to each other when they are using the Rift. This then allows them to get extra little tags. You can see Zandy landing on this hill to the more west side. And then we can also see Joe going to the more northern side as well, which allows them to get 2 different angles onto Kidua, I believe it was. It was just down to the south there, and able to get so many tags onto him. This is a really, really smart tactic, because then you can get as many tags as possible, and you can see them in this great position at the moment. Of course, they got up there using the zip line, and this is a really, really good spot for them because of this smart rotate.
Thank you, Mini Miner. That's what you love to see. The use of that natural mobility in the rips. But the interesting point you brought out, landing in different spots, almost have multiple angles to use against their opponents, and one of them there was almost gonna get taken out instantly, but Joe did get shot from afar and caused them to have to change up his drop a little bit. But for ADN, hard find in the Rave Cave. Sangled low-key close by. This engagement, it's not low-key at all. In the zone. The danger level's increasing second after second. And now it's left to which duo is going to come out on top.
Yeah, these are the kind of fights that we've actually seen at this POI all chapter long, even when it wasn't called Rave Cave, right? Back to Command Cavern and whatnot, just teams fighting here in the zone non-stop. This season, it's been a bit less viable than previous ones, but it won't, you know, stop these teams from doing it nonetheless. And so ADN and Hardfind just continue to pick away at the builds of Sanguild and Loki, but they don't have much builds of their own, so they're gonna have to start hitting some big shots, and probably quite soon.
And you can tell this engagement has been lasting a long time. You said it yourself, Levin, only 4 builds to work with. As time goes on, this engagement might just end up not being worth it for either duo. Even the one that comes out on the upper end is now ADN going straight into the action, trying to cut off a piece of that pie. Is now Sangled has been dropped down. The 2 versus 1. The upper hand for Hardfind and ADN, as they just need to knock down one more opponent, but choosing to use that shield keg, recuperating the shield they lost. And that's going to cause this engagement to take that much more time. Taking a look at a replay from Hellfire and Flois, though, our #1 team currently in the condo, Canyon, and they know how to clean up fights quickly. Their opponent getting boxed up there, but slithering his way out of the box as Artsteel and T chips no way. Was he able to turn this engagement around? Knocks down Hellfire, and now it was put into the 1 versus 1 for Flois, but Flois, he was able to clean it up.
Yeah, forget engagement. That was a real battle between the 2 teams. Hellfire is down though still, and it will not be the easiest of things to do for Flois to pick him back up, but that is probably what he will try to do. They are much better off with Hellfire alive. As you saw last game, he literally had all of the team's eliminations.
Seti and Cammy continuing their passive route, but for QB and Annie here, 160 below. They want to get some damage done, but having to do it onto Noah and Reason. This duo is incredibly dangerous, even if they haven't been performing to their best in this season. They are still some of the best on the European region, especially when they have more damage than their opponents and not as much to worry about. They can wait for the right chance, take that shot, as now QB and Annie get lower and lower. But on the good news, they do have shield. They could have materials. And for Noah, no shield to work with, no health almost, just 11 HP. A couple shots could be enough to take him down.
Yeah, this is not a situation I want to see these guys in, but it's one that I certainly expected. We talked about the struggles they've had so far this season, and again, struggling here. For QB and Annie, it's all about trying to make sure they actually stay alive. They've not been able to go away scotch-free, and actually going to be running into some angry Frenchmen along the way. Forziar and Kezix are going to be the ones to try and take them out. Annie falls, and so that leaves QB in the worst possible situation you can really be in. A solo in the storm against two teams two players, sorry, that are clearly very hungry.
Or ZR trying to feast right now. Take away that hunger, and that might be what they were just able to do, but it wasn't enough. Their stomachs still half empty. 144 below. They have to get more damage done, just like Flois and Hellfire here. From the first place spot to now possibly going down in this early to mid game. They're still in the zone. And now just a few ticks away from going down. They're going to have to use all their minis, their big pots, everything they can, but it looks like they might have said, we're not doing it.
I hate to break it to you, man. You said probably going down. I'm looking at the screen like, brother, they are going down. They do not have a choice here. They are going down way deep in the storm, down below on Surge with no prospects of actually being able to deal that damage. Yeah, it's not looking good, bruv. On to the next game, though, for that team. The big thing is, though, is that will mean they probably will fall in the standings, right? They give and they leave that room for other teams to catch up to them. And that break in momentum, that break in rhythm could be detrimental for that team and their confidence.
GG's go next. But for Malabuka and Merstash, they're not going to be going next yet. 7th place spot, 116 above. Now in the corner of the zone, forced to find that path into the zone. They have the choice to stop at the edge or keep going more centered, possibly even take a building, recuperate the materials from the boxes they're going to build, and keep moving forwards after. But for Resguard and Clown, they have a longer ways to go. And with Chicho and Trulex close by, not a lot of shield to work with. It might not just be a rotate, it might be an opportunity for this duo to find something. But the issue is, no spare shields to work with. Clown is almost cracked, no minis. But they do have 2 chug splashes and they're gonna need to use them.
No, but that's on a quick steer.
She just saw so deep into that last game. Of course, it came down to the wire between Resguard and Hellfire. And he wasn't quite able to connect with the shots. It was very, very close. But they'll want a second try in that situation. They'll want to go up for height once again. But if they want to get there, they have to start putting themselves into better spots. That's exactly what they're going to try and do with some of the shots and angles they're looking for here. Oh, dearie me. Look, trying to make a play from above. The harpoon coming out as well. But can they get into zone? They're so close, but so far in the same sense because there's so many things stopping them from getting in. Finally, Resguard will find the space, but even with them being in zone, the pressure does not wait up one bit. They will continue to be forced backwards. And Malabuka and Masash might be getting forced out. Both of these players so down below.
So bright for this duo, but now you can see the darkness creeping in. Malabuka Merstash are forced to go against Titan. Squeezy Vino making their way in, saying hello. It's me, Merstash getting taken out. Malabuka, though, he's not happy about that at all. His partner is not going to go down without a fight. As now Queasy and Vino are forced to group up and continue moving forward.
Yeah, really nice stuff there, right? Of course, Malabuka and Masash were quite weak in that situation, way down below on Surge, which again is actually a big concern for those two, but I'm sure that analysts will have fun breaking that down later. Squeezy and Vino took great advantage of it. Ooh, Tayson looking up here. Oh, dearie me, I dropped.
Is dangerous.
My friend, wake up. You can't allow Tayson to violate you like that, bro. Like, come on, we're in the FNCS final. You gotta wake up. Juriki and iDrop taken down at the hands of Tayson. I'm sure they'll be back fighting better than ever in the next game, though.
And although Tayson got those 2 eliminations, he's a solo now. Chapik's gone down. 4th zone. It'll be almost impossible for him to get a reboot. But for the players that have their duo partner, Seti and Kami, Seti
וקאמי, ויש להם גם את הדרוש שלהם, הם הדרוש כאילו הכי טוב בלואו-קאר, כאילו במקומות הנמוכות.
Have the vision, have the damage, have the loot, as now it's just 27 seconds left until the zone closes. Fifth zone will appear, and I'll open up the rotate or close the rotate for some of these duos.
And this is a big game for them. This is a chance for them to build a lead, take the lead, and then build on it, right? The first place team is down. They are the ones in second. They are the ones that hold the keys to the leaderboard right now, if we're being real. And it's all about taking that chance while they have it.
Zone pulls to the south. Spray and Flixie.
Zone
There's a duo up above inside of it. But remember, it's not that easy to especially from the start, and when you have no shields to work with. 35 builds.
We saw them try and hold it before, right? There was a game just very recently where we saw them up on height, and eventually Queasy and Veno took it from them. And so if they are going to keep on going for height, it's going to be about being better at holding it, being more aware of the threats to their high ground. And it's something that they've struggled with so far today that they can't afford to struggle with if they have any hope of moving up in the standings.
The issue is, if you want to take that high ground, you need to have the resources to do so. But Pink and Anas, on the contrary here, they're not looking to do that. Not yet. They want to get these tags. They want to get the damage on the opponents. They have to rotate in still. They weren't fortunate enough to get the fifth zone pulled onto their box. But for Tripburn and Thomas, this could be their chance to bump themselves up the leaderboard. They had a rough start, but now the lights are shining bright. Almost 600 above. The loot is in the inventory. The resources, they have them. And now Flixie and Frey still on top.
The good thing about Thomas and Trippin is that no matter where the zone pulls for first move, in their grapple gloves will give them plenty of options in traversing that. I can't say the same for Rescard and Clown, and so maybe they'll need a bit of luck on their side, especially when you look at what they're working with. The HP is not looking good. The materials are looking probably even worse. And so they are desperately searching for an opportunity, some sort of lifeline that can keep them in the game.
Will they be able to pick that lifeline up is the question, though. As now, 6th zone, first moving. It's gonna go west. Clown Rescard get blocked off. Reinforced wall. Stopping their shots. As now Vortexers, Bevies, they're the ones that are up above.
Vortexers and Bevies, we saw them start the game off hot. They picked up a couple of eliminations. And now they're looking to maybe even try to take height as well.
This is huge. This could be big for this duo. Flixie gone down. Rescard Clown close, but look at Vino. Look at Queasy. They love high ground, and this is the match that they want to hold it. Joe has to be careful in that #1 spot. He can't go down early. Z Andy almost split up from his duo partner here, but with those grapple gloves, they'll be able to continue to rotate forwards just like Seti and Cammy are doing.
Yeah, Seti and Cammy, they need to get together though. And they need to try and stay ahead of the zone. That is one of their specialties. But if they don't do that, they'll end up like many of the teams back here who are looking scuffed. Rescard is exactly an example of that. Clown now has to play as a solo. He didn't have Matt. He didn't have a good position. And now he doesn't have a teammate either. This is not looking great for them. Tayson has to play as a solo, but we've seen crazy solo clutches from Tayson. It isn't out of the realms of possibility. But with this level of HP and with this much pressure on him, I don't think he can handle it. He can't either. Will be taken out. And so now, Pinkin and Ass, again, looking around the lobby, thinking, hold on a minute, who has the facilities to stop us? It doesn't look like there's challenges. It's all about taking out these challenges. He can't do it. Ziandi, with so much to work with in terms of what he had with materials and grapple gloves earlier, now has nothing to work with. And Ziandi very much needs to stay alive.
No HP for Ziandi, but a duo that does have it. It's Pink and Anas. Ziandi, 25 shield, 8 HP on the board, hits the shot. Bevy, he's losing HP to Storm, doesn't get the finish, goes down top alongside Tripper and takes down another one. That's the third Elim on the board for Thomas. This is the match that they can use to bump themselves up, but with Tripper and going down, Thomas now forced to play it alone.
Thomas HD has done so well up to this point. It is all about who in this lobby can stop Queasy and Venom. They're up on height, and they've not really had any challenges. They are just gonna be in cruise control as this endgame plays out.
Hydro, Belusi, 3 elims for Hydro. He looks above, sees Queasy and Vino, might take the opportunity to try and drop them down.
What
But
does
be
it?
enough to go up above. Queasy's gone down. Vino actually gets knocked. Now
Okay,
Queasy's
well,
down to the
let's
dirt
look at
alone as a solo scared goes down as well. Both players from the high ground get eliminated, and now Thomas continues to play it out alone.
A turn of events there for sure, but who will be able to capitalize? Pinkin and Ash might be the ones. They are hunting players down on low and connecting with the shots that they need to, but can they continue to stay in this game? Big shots needing to be hit, but they are big players and big names. Thomas HD has to do it as well. The med missile give him a bit more time to work with, but what is happening in the zone? And hitting a 180, and so now Pink, another game as a solo. He does have a flopper, he does have some chug splashes, and that means he has time. He can go into the zone. He doesn't have to be impatient, but for Thomas, he does have to be impatient. He does have to start hitting shots. He doesn't have much time left. 3 seconds in the zone, and a big shot connects, but it's not going to be enough. DKS is still in the game, but he has a player in his box. He's trying to force his way out.
Pink continues. Is the demon still awake? Is the momentum going to be pushed forward from the last matches? Pink, Maxwell's above. He has to connect a big shot. You're only 9 builds to work with. Gets the edit, but not able to connect the shot. DKS now bumped up to 7. The deal up above has the eliminations, has the advantageous position, but what he doesn't have is that last elimination, the victory royale, and he is going for it.
He is ready and he is waiting, but can Vidil connect to the big shot? It was looking like it. Needs to mantle his way or not, and that's what he will do, and he will connect on to DKS. Vidil, that is breathtaking. They pick up the game, and then what a way to do it as well. Vidil and Janice finally announcing themselves to the lobby.
Great victory royale for the duo, but that was a crazy last few moments. There wasn't a clear duo dominating the high ground. They had it at the start, but they might have ran out of materials and caused them to go down. And in these last moments, the player that was able to clean it up, clutch it up, and pick up that crown, put it on his head for the victory royale, it was Vidil. You see his reaction, his excitement. He is feeling good.
The Scrimbucks are finally playing that in the weeks leading up to the FNCS final have been looking so strong in all of the practice sessions, and now performing here in Game 3, showing off that if you do put in the work, it's going to come through in the finals as well. What a game. There was a power vacuum up on height, right? The moment Queasy and Veno weren't able to be the ones to take it, they were the ones that stepped up and they win their game.
You said it yourself, Levin. Hard work pays off, and you can see how exciting that can be. But I want to see Zeke, Taco, and Reese put in the work and let us know what happened throughout that match.
Not a big deal, just my prediction, showing up, getting a victory royale, and of course we had Vidil's perspective there, the player camera where he gets excited. That's why I chose you guys, because I trust in you, and I believe in you. Reese, what do you have to say about that?
I'm happy. I'm happy for him. Vidil's the man. He's been putting in the work, as Levin so eloquently put, cashing in those scrim bucks at the moment. He's been on the top of all the Noble Scrim leaderboards. It's paying off right now. I love to see it.
It definitely came through a pretty tough close as well. It's not very easy, I think, to try and actually maintain positioning as favorably as he did. But most importantly of all, I was looking at that elim count by the end of it. So they were getting active. They were looking for open challenges, and Vidil just did not seem concerned in the slightest. He knew that he had DKS dead to rights.
Absolutely. And you know, I made my prediction. He's sitting looking at him. He's like, I think I had him in 9th, 7th, one of those two. He's not happy. He's not happy. So I'm hoping that's the fuel sitting there going, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to come out in first instead. But the people I did put in first, Queasy and Vino, doing well yet again. They were up on height, but unfortunately kind of got chopped off a little bit.
We're seeing the consistency as far as finishing in the top 10 is concerned, but it just seems as though there's 1 or 2 instances where this duo might split for even half a second here. This was the moment for Vino where he started to push down off of height, and it seemed as though he had perfect build control. It was just a rather tragic closeout, and then once Queasy was left to fend for himself, runs into Thomas, that spelled absolute catastrophe there, but still, they're finding themselves in a pretty strong position given the fact that they keep consistently placing so high.
Yeah, and honestly, like, the main reason for the fact that they didn't do better that game was just the fact that they started the moving zones with 50 and 60 builds respectively. Like, the games that these guys usually do really well, they have a stronger mid game than that, and they come in with like 100 each instead. I've watched a lot of games from Queasy and Vino when they take height, 50-ish builds each, and you know, they fizzle out around 10th. I want to see them have a little stronger mid game, more mats, and hopefully, I was going to say climb on leaderboards. Who cares? They're in first.
They're in first. That's why, I mean, these guys are, the community is like behind them, right? They all think that these will be our FNCS champions for Chapter 3 Season 3. I mean, 11 2K Mini Miner as well. They are performing extremely well right now.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I said, if they win, it'll be either a combination of Queasy or Vino's won every Chapter 3 FNCS, which is really cool to see. But obviously, you know, they're not the only people here. We got another leaderboard. Joe and Ziandi in second, kind of just staying in that position since game number 1, pretty much. Pink and Nas moving up. DKS and Disiptos, a massive game. Up 13 from them. And of course, with the win, Vadil and Janice up 9 there.
Granted, have to keep in mind, though, just looking at the points breakdown specifically, already at the halfway mark, and we're seeing it be so tight-knit. I mean, 5 points within overtake threshold here for the top 5. I think that right now, even though we see Queasy and Vino on top, they need to just remain consistent. But that's something that I think is kind of their specialty at this point.
Yeah, and I think a name that, when I was looking at the drop map, I wasn't too sure how they would do would be Hydro and Belusi in 8th. Thank you for the visualization right there. I was looking at their drop, and I was like, seems like they're going to be fighting off spawn, but they've luckily not managed to get into too many tussles earlier on. And I think this is a team that when I, again, was looking through trying to figure out who was doing good, I heard a lot of really good things about Hydro and Belusi again and again. You know, maybe it's just a lot of the fans from their respective countries. There's always got some of them behind them, but it's cool to see them now start to climb up the leaderboard.
And they're definitely finding their highlight moments, that's for sure. Even with all of the congestion that's taking place and a lot of this mid-ground activity, it doesn't seem as though it's really bothering this duo's impact throughout the moving zones specifically. I think that Hydro has done just an excellent job here, not making sure to not overpeak, and that goes a long way because it's easy to get excited in these closing moments.
Definitely is, you know, and again, Tayson and Chapix. I love looking at the off spawns. We saw it at the top right before that first game started, and so far they've won every single one, which is great. For them, I think if they're winning every game of spawn, I'd like to see them go further. However, the biggest issue this game that differed from the rest was, of course, we saw Chapix go down and then fully get finished. So it wasn't just a knock, leaving Tayson then as a solo, and he had to reboot. And if you're mid-map trying to reboot, you fly up in the air. You know how many teams are looking at you? It's like, it's almost impossible.
And definitely a nasty close, though, from Tayson. At least he established the fact that, okay, you might have taken out my duo partner, but you're not going to clean up our duo entirely. So good try, good effort, but we'll see what happens in the 4th round.
A lot of these duos, man, it's coming down to the wire. Remember, we have 12 games here between 2 days, so a lot of these duos are looking to cement themselves after day number 1. I'm already ready, though. The battle bus is ready. You guys are ready at home. So let's do this. This is the next game from the FNCS Finals.
Game 4.
It's been so exciting. Now we've reached that halfway point of the first day. 3 matches down, 3 more to go for today. But with 12 total matches to be played out throughout this tournament, these players, they're just getting started and there's still so much to unfold.
That's the big thing for me, right? Of course, today we've already had so many great games and we're at the halfway point of today, but there's still so much to play, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Still plenty of time for teams to make some changes, adjust their game plans ever so slightly just to get back into the competition.
And that's what I like to see. We've had a longer break than usual between the semifinals and the finals, so these players have had a lot of time to prepare for this first day of finals. But with day 2 just along the corner, these players are gonna have to adapt overnight and make those changes very quickly. So we'll be able to see which ones are able to excel in doing it with a lot of prep time, but also a little bit of prep time.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What player so far has impressed you the most?
Look, I've been impressed. Well, I don't want to say impressed, all right? But Vico and Jackson have been doing a great job consistently, but there's been one player that's kind of been making me feel a little special inside, and that is Pink. I wish I was wearing pink today so I could talk about him more like I did when I predicted them to qualify for the finals, but I know he's your boy, and I know you're feeling excited.
No, 100%. They've worked so hard this season, and it is certainly coming through in the final. Performing like that, right? I don't see many IGLs popping off the way Pink is right now. Do you know what I mean? That's a real serious Fortnite player there, but can they continue to do it? is the question.
That's the question, right? They have to be able to maintain that. And it's not easy to do, especially when there's so much changing. But you heard it, the beep beep, the battle bus is ready. Let's see if these players can continue to dominate, and if they're not too high up the leaderboard, they can make that comeback needed to push themselves up.
So many questions to be answered. Will Pink continue to be fraggy? Will Tayson and Chapix win off spawn again? Who will be victorious at the Rave Cave? Find out now in Game 4.
Of the intro there, but what I'm excited to see is the 3-0 from Tayson and Chapix. Will it be able to be a 4-0 as Tayson hits the initial shot, gets the weapon, and now Tayson, Chapix cleaning, sweeping up their opponents for the 4th consecutive early game win.
4-0 to Tayson and Chapix off spawn. I'm not gonna lie. At what point do you leave if you're XVs? And POTUS, at what point do you go, hey, it's not been looking too great for us off spawn. I kind of want to play a game out. Can we just leave these guys alone?
Look, the issue is, POTUS, XVs, they went into these finals knowing that they're going to take the 50-50. Just like Tayson and Chapix, they knew this engagement was going to happen. The question is, have they prepared a plan B, a second option? With the amount of risk that is involved in a 50-50, I don't think they have a second option. I think they're going to go all out on this early game engagement. And I mean, look, they are going down 4-0, but it is 12 matches. There's a lot more to be played out. And another duo that's taking these early game engagements by Chonkers, Destru, Skydune. They're looking to see what they can do.
Skydune and Destru over at the Chonkers Speedway. And it's Yusri and Kido actually that are giving them problems here. They didn't start off the day like this, but of course already here in Game 4, we're seeing some of the changes all around across the map. Players deciding to land in different spots in different areas as maybe things aren't going too well. And for Kido and Yusri, they're a team that certainly, talent-wise, could be higher up in the standings than they currently are. Well, it's all going to come down to taking down Skydune and Destru if they have any chance of that actually coming into play. They pulled a zone, which gives them extra time here at this spot. But ideally, you don't want to keep sitting here all game long.
I was going to say, I see a lot of patience from these players, just kind of crouched above, but now the Destru, Skydune, they've lost a majority of their HP and shield. With more than 2 opponents close by, they have the duo that was down below them, but now also another duo on top of that. It gets to a point where it might just not be worth it. But Flixie, Frey, they have to make something happen here. Flixie gone down, Frey, last player up, but Force is gonna be the one that uses that Force to get those 2 eliminations. But ForZR and Kedzix are quick to react, and they see the opportunity, and they strike as Shizo goes down. ForZR now picking up those 2 eliminations, 4 on the board. ForZR has woken up.
That right there is a prime example of how every duo game me and Resub has ever played goes. We land off spawn, we win our battle against a team who probably was better than us. We get a bit lucky, and then bam, the third party rolls through. Typically, Reese goes down first and I have to clutch up, but you know, that's a story for another day. In the case of ForZR and Kedzix though, to go in so relentlessly, so quickly, so aggressively, and to be victorious certainly must be a good feeling, and the kind of feeling that they'll want to continue to have throughout the rest of this game. That was a crazy, crazy start over at the Butter Barn.
And it was so quick to be cleaned up. I mean, those were, I'm going to say it was one of the most, other than Tayson and Chapix right in the early game, it was one of the quickest engagements that we've seen get finished off, but it's all about maintaining it. ForZR and Kedzix, they are contested, so we'll have to see how they keep that going forwards. But Vino, Queasy, duo that's uncontested, first place spot right now, fan favorite going into the tournament, and they're showing why they're a fan favorite. But for the Sleepy Sound, Aware getting taken out by Nefrizzi and Lucia, but the tables might just turn as now Nefrizzi and Lucia are the ones that are cracked. We'll have to see if Luscia can connect the shot here, but JJ2 now 1 shot away from being knocked down, trying to find the peak, find the opening in those builds. to hit what he needs to. Aware has recuperated the shield, and Frizzy gone down. Now Lucia boxed up and gets taken out. JJ2 with the quick emote. Feeling good.
Oh, man. If there's ever something that will never get old, it's players looking to showboat on their enemies after a quick elim. Something that you'll see across all levels of competitive Fortnite. And something that I didn't expect to see in the feed there was actually Cammy and City going down at the hands of Mustache there. That will be something I definitely want to see. If Cammy and City are going down this early, I really, really want to see how that happened, because that's not something you see every day. It does seem like it was Mustache that got both of those limbs. That is not good at all for the Polish players, but if you're Mustache and Malibuka, I'm sure you're very happy, right? Two of your biggest competition on the mid and low ground taken out this early. Yeah, not too shabby.
Find it interesting, Malibuka and Mustache, though, they seem unharmed, unscratched, fully cleaned up after that engagement, so it must have been a pretty quick one. But Pinkin and Nos are looking to also finish off an engagement here. I only see one player and 0 elims on the board for this duo, so seems like they found a solo trying to escape, but there is a duo close by. It's Hellfire, it's Flowis. They're coming in for the third party, so Pinkin and Nos, they have to finish this quickly if they don't want that third party to be extra dangerous, but they're already here, and now they're forced to make the decision.
Yeah, Jerdy was already taken out, and so Kiro's just sort of lurking around. But Pink did a really good job of just taking some warning shots over towards Flowis and Hellfire. It stopped them long enough for them to not push their way on in. But unfortunately, that whole mishap allowed space and time for Kiro to escape. And so the final elimination that they were looking for, at least the one player they were looking to connect onto, unfortunately will escape.
That's why it's important to be aware. Always know what's happening in your surroundings. And Vortex, Hi Chris, one of the most aggressive duos in this lobby, showing why they are, as they've got themselves into an engagement away from their drop spot. They do drop, and the reality falls, contested by Fakey and Freemock, but now all the way in rocky reels, close to Hijo and Belusi up top, just taking pop shots. Doesn't seem like they want to finish this off or get themselves into the position they could end up getting eliminated, but they're just trying to get those tags, trade those shots, do the damage, as they do have the shields to recuperate what they lose.
Yeah, for Hijo and Belusi, a very impressive showing so far in the competition. One that has revolved around their sharpness, awareness, great decision-making in the key moments of the late game. And if they can continue to get there, there's no doubt in my mind they'll continue to impress. Trippin' though, we saw Thomas went down earlier in the game, and he hasn't since been able to get Thomas back up, which is a big concern, especially as the zone continues to close. And now actually Trippin' fairing himself maybe in a 1v1 against Freemock. But for how much longer will it be a 1v1? Because Fakey is still alive, and I think he knows that. And so, gonna waltz his way on out.
This is not the first time Tripper has been left alone trying to reboot Thomas. Last time he was able to get the reboot, but he wasn't able to have a strong endgame.
Well, I asked earlier what happened with Cammy and Seti. How did they get bossed by Mustache? And fortunately, we have the man who can update us on it all. Miniminer, what went down?
Of course, in the last game, we saw Mustache and Malibuka falling to Storm Surge. They're hoping to try and alleviate some of those problems in this game. We can see Mustache landing in and looking over at Tayson and Co, who are fighting on the other side. Look at this unfortunate loot luck, though. He gets a shotgun off spawn, and then in the chest, he gets another shotgun. Can't look over to get those tags. So unfortunate, which means they can't quite get enough. But luckily for them, they got the eliminations in the mid game. This is why we now see them in the center of the map, farming up, trying to prioritize positioning. So hopefully, they'll be able to pick up enough Storm Surge tag so that doesn't happen like it did in the last game.
We're able to pick up the elims, but weren't able Well, Seti and Cammy were not able to get out of it. But now for Merstash and Malibuka, just like Mini said, he has that much more time to get the position they need.
It's funny how Mini says, right, like, yeah, they're just looking for positioning, and they also just rolled over one of the best duos in the world on the way to it as well. You know, nothing too special, you know. Just casual things for Malibuka and Merstash, right?
But for Loki Sangild, they wanted to do the same here as Loki. I've seen him popping off recently. He's been doing a great job of getting these elims. The issue is, Loki's getting these elims in the middle of the zone in Rave Cave.
Oh,
but he,
no.
Disgusting. Hard find ADN gone down. Loki Sangild now back up. But they still have to make it into zone. Bevy's Vortexers, though. One elim on the board. Trying to get the other one is now U-Street, Kiduo close by. They've came in for the third party. They've knocked down Bevies, and now they've also sent Vortexers into a Vortex back to the lobby, and now U-Street is going to pick up his duo partner.
Fights at the condo. Not a place we see much of, but certainly a place where there's clearly action going down. Nisitos and DKS, though, the 4th place team. We saw them have a really nice deep run towards the end of that last game, and it moved them very high up into the standings. But is this a position you believe they can keep Takata?
That's the question, right? Can they maintain it? We've talked about it before. You can get your pop-off games. That can qualify you to the finals. But in the finals, it's more than popping off and enjoying the views of the fireworks. It's about maintaining that skill level, that consistency, and taking it to day 2.
But do you believe they can keep it, Takata?
Look, I believe anybody can keep it.
Oh, Takata.
Anybody can do it, Left. DKS, though.
I think you might.
Maybe I stayed quiet there for a bit because maybe they won't be able to do it after what we just saw on the screen. Michael heard me speaking. That's not just an ice pack on his head. It's giving him some information as he's taken out DKS. Now Decipto's forced alone in the zone to rotate. It's not looking good for that duo anymore.
Yeah, if they do want to maintain their position in the standings, they are going to have to be able to win fights like that one. And not just win fights, they just need to make sure both of them stay alive as the game heads to its final stages. The Citos going down. Unfortunate times for that duo. But any opportunity, any slip up from any of the teams higher up in the standings allows teams like Flowis and Hellfire to get back into the competition. Okay, we're going to see how Clown was actually able to do it. Oh. Yeah. Nice executed fight from those two. Both of them coming in from different sides, making him have to make a decision. And it was a decision that he didn't want to take.
But Clown now, even though he got that elimination, he's still going to get taken out the storm here. Knocked down, and now Ref's guard, last one up in the team, cracked. Only 2 big pots left to tank the Storm Surge, but now he's down to 15 HP, 1 tick away, and he will not have time to pop the big pot, causing him to go down. Ref's guard and Clown, they're out of this game 4.
That's really unfortunate, because we've seen in previous games what this team can do if you allow them to get to the end game. We got a replay here, though, of Thomas and Trippin, which I'm very excited to see, because we obviously saw Trippin as a solo earlier, almost taking a 1v2 against Freemock and Fakey. But it looks like he was able to pick Thomas back up and then went to re-engage in that battle, and it's a battle they won with ease. Thomas and Trippin are alive, and they remain in the game. That's a good sign for anybody who's supporting the Danes. I can promise you there's a lot of them.
A lot of them playing and a lot of them supporting. As now Malibuka left alone as a solo, 519 above. He has the damage, but he doesn't have his duo partner. The most important part, as now he has to find a way to continue forwards. He has the grapple glove, the splashes, but is it going to be enough?
That's a real concern for that team, right? Of course, we saw them last game. They went down to Storm Surge. They were struggling in that regard. This game, Mini came in with the, super hot facts. They had to make an adjustment. They made an adjustment. Things were looking good. But this game now, one of them was taken out. They're having to try clutch up as a solo. it's really a sign of concern for anybody who really has their hopes on that team. They need to start to pull things together.
Luckily enough, they have a lot of time to pull things together. And for Mr. Savage and Hen, they're going to have to do the same. Being in 30th place is not what they want. They want to be higher up. But luckily enough, they're high up right now on the mountain. And not only that, also with damage done, a lot of options on players who are rotating in to take shots onto them. But for Tripper and Thomas, something went down. It was looking so bright after they got the reboot. But now with Tripper going down, he's traded positions with his duo partner. He said, all right, it's your turn to play solo.
Yeah, I did say Tripper and Thomas are back in the game. But for how much longer will they be in the game? It doesn't seem like much longer at all. Thomas is down to bare bones. And he's very fortunate to even still be alive this long. They are just chasing after him.
Ooh.
Like dogs chasing a lonely cat. Eventually he'll be caught though.
Orzia and Keziks, the ones that make that catch. And Joe and Ziandi might just be able to catch a player in Storm as they seem to see the builds come through, the rotate. As now the shots just need to be connected here. And for the player trying to make his way into zone, this is not what you want to see. A duo without any pressure onto them. They won it.
This is one of the best spots you can be in, right? Sitting nice above, no real threats to you. You can just take shots at people in the zone and try to pick them off. Of course, they weren't able to get any finishing blows on, but definitely a nicer position to be in than the players that they were taking shots at. Queasy and Veno, they'll need to change where they are currently positioned. And that is them going to have to move north of the Chonka Speedway. There are some players along their side, but you can already see instantly Vino calling, look, let's move around the right side. Let's avoid that team. Let's not run into their path. And that's exactly what they'll do to get into the zone.
Pink and Anas, we were talking about them. This is an incredibly strong duo in these finals. They've been playing so well. And will they be able to keep it up is the real question here. They're close on the Storm Surge right now. They need a bit of damage, but a duo that needs more. Vico and Jackson forced to go straight in here. You can see the concentration. The shots have to connect. Duo gone down. Jackson has been knocked. Vico now, all the pressure's on him, but are his shoulders strong enough to keep himself standing, keep himself up as he goes in, hits the first shot, but it's not enough for the Elim.
After their blistering hot start, they have finally started to cool down. And that is incredibly unfortunate because when they are firing, they are such an exciting team to watch. For Reason and Noah Riley, they haven't been a team we've had much chance to watch at all. They do seem to just struggle to make it to these latter stages of the game. And once again, they will fall before we hit that point. Taking along some big names along the way, but ultimately they would follow suit as well. Malibuka still in this game, but currently in 10th place. He has a lot to do to keep a top 10 position.
It's doable though. I see that and I think doable. Malibuka, he can make it happen, but he doesn't want to go up against a duo like Tayson and Chapix, which is the duo rotating in front of him. Luckily enough, he might be able to use this as an opportunity to rotate through, but Chapix has spotted him in and out. Says, oh no, there's a player trying to reuse our rotate. We're not going to let that happen. As now they have to continue to move forwards. The shots come in from afar. And for Pink and Anas, they're still in their box. They're still strong. And now, with 5th zone, half in, half out, coming to a close. The rotates come through. The players begin moving, finding the right path, which is the route they need to take to make it to the finish line. And which route is going to be the one that doesn't have a vision onto Pink and Anas, which are the ones trying to stop them.
Yeah, for all of the players who aren't currently in the zone, getting up above this elevation is going to be key. You don't want to be getting stuck down below. The good thing for Queasy and Veno is even though they aren't all the way up above, their grapple gloves will give them the room and the space for options. And not only is it options to move into better positions, but also an option now to pick up some limbs along the way. Cheating, very fortunate to still be alive right now.
Ooh.
And Vino just constantly looking for players to try and pick up. It's actually eye drop that fell. Queasy was the one to take him out. And so another instance of our first place team dealing heavy damage here.
And now up above in the sky, Vortex High Chris, they had such a strong position, but when the 6th zone, the first moving, pulls the opposite side, you have to be quick to react, quick to rotate. But Hydra was quick to go down, leaving Belusi alone now. Down below, hits the 129 shot, cracking his opponent, and he just needs one more. 27 white. One little shot could be enough. The issue is the zone is going to start closing. And now even if he connects this shot, he also has to make it to the zone.
Oh, this is so difficult, but it's a challenge he won't be afraid of. No! It was so almost there. He had a knock. There was another med mist as well, but he just ran out of time. So unfortunate for Belusi, but the game must go on. And for Malabuka, he'll be hoping things can move on and more players can continue to fall, because that would go a long way for him. He's just trying to stay ahead, be inconspicuous. For the likes of Vino and Queasy, what will be their move? Will they look to try and usurp high ground from High Chris and Vortex? How do they get the victory on the game? That will be their thought process. For Vidil and Janice, similar thinking. How can we be the ones to get another victory royale?
On the high ground, High Chris, Queasy, Vino, they've been trying it for so long. They've been able to secure the high ground, but maintaining it is what's difficult. And this engagement, it's going to be one of the most important for this duo, as now they do have shield. They do have HP, but they quickly decide, let's drop down. We're going to look for it later. Chapix pacing, 5 elims on the board, rotating on the side of the zone. But be careful of who comes into your tower, who comes into your home, as now Chapix is cracked down, forced to pop these chug splashes, get a little wet as he continues his way into the zone. And now Tayson has gone down. Playing as a solo, it's become dangerous.
That's so unfortunate. Chapix found the right avenue, but Tayson couldn't follow. And eventually, Chapix will run into a dead end. Queasy and Venom, they remain alive though, but for how much longer can they stay up? They're going to have to look for a refreshing soon. How has Malabuka stayed alive for this long though? That is going to be a big question after this one is done. But for the meantime, up above, you can see a battle is breaking out for Strokey with a huge shot onto High Chris, and he has mean intentions. He wants the high ground, and he has it for now.
High Chris no longer high up for Strokey now, and Kylie up above. They need to find something here. Cheating close by, one shot away. Paco Crusty up, trying to find an elevation away up to the top, as now they have those materials. Zero build for Paco cannot make any construction. He has to get a refresh.
Oh my goodness, Vino almost accidentally boxing a player as he moved on through. Malabuka though, moving like the boss right now in this lobby. Can he stay up for 88? Can he connect with more? He needs to, because he's such low HP. There's a flopper there. I don't think he realized it though, and he certainly doesn't have the time to go back. And so now having to stay alive with players down below, he knows the opportunities are there. He just has to connect. And for the first time maybe in his career, isn't able to get into key shots. And so Malabuka will fall at the hands of the deal. Ziandi, Joe stuck beneath the ground, needing the zone to pull away so that they can stay alive. And that's exactly what will happen. But if they're not careful, Vidil's gonna rock up. He takes out Queasy, and he's looking to do more, but eventually will fall as well.
Joe and Ziandi kicking the rocks down below, but they have to kick more than just the rocks if they want to take this victory royale. Kylie, fast Strokey, they had a great retake up above, but they have to finish it off. The Strokey getting cracked. Joe now with the advantageous spot as he has to connect one more shot, but he's unable to do so. And Kylie and Fastrokey.
Kylie and Fastrokey! Did you see what I just saw? That height take was fantastic. Fastrokey had no fear in his heart or mind. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he executed it brilliantly. A big pump shotgun shot to finish things out above, and then they close out the game from there. Cool as you like. Of course, making it a bit close at the end, right, as you always have to do when it comes to the HP. But eventually, they were able to be victorious in this game. This duo now moves way up in the standings and causes an issue for everybody else.
I'm loving to see how the high ground has been changing up throughout these matches. We saw Queasy and Vino go for it early on, and Fastroki and Kylie, they weren't even there until later on, but they cleaned it up in the perfect moment, hit the shots they needed to, got the position when they needed it the most, and were able to carry it through to the end.
Look, Fastroki is no stranger to hitting big shots in games like these. A simply special shot for a special player, a victory royale for that team. Can they continue to hit big shots though? We're going to send it to the analysts to break down that game as we head into the last couple.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Just 2 games left to go here on just day number 1. Remember, we're looking to play across 2 days. We have 12 games, 4 down, and there's still quite a bit to unpack after everything has been said and done. I think you want to start with Joe, though.
I don't. I want to start with Queasy instead.
Oh, Queasy. Of course. Community favorite. No,
my favorite too. I have too many favorites. Can't say that. Of
Might as
course,
well be everybody's at this point.
it might as well. Of course. Queasy and Vino. We saw them take high ground again, or trying to fight for it, trying to battle for it. And I was like, this is the game, because as they were trying to do that this time, we said the previous game didn't have as many materials. Here's the complete difference. 90 builds on Vino, and I'm sure Queasy will have more because he's usually the one who has way more than that. Basically what they need to get going. They had a good start, tried to take high ground after getting a couple refreshes, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for them this game, but they still managed to have a great game out of it.
And I think one of the most impressive parts about this duo as well is that, sure, their elim count might not be the highest out of the entire lobby, but at the same time, they're doing a great job maintaining their builds management. They're doing an even better job, though, with their surge management, Reese. It really just feels as though this duo in particular has never had to worry about the added pressure from those zones and the surge on top of it.
And this is like a far zone for them, too. This is a complete south side of the map, and they don't even need to struggle with surge then. Usually it's easier when it's in your home zone, but for them, this is a max distance.
No, and that's the other thing, too, is that I think Queasy and Vino, they kind of just have such a strong understanding that even as they're maintaining their mobility, trying to maintain that high ground control, it seems as though they're just completely aware of their surroundings. They're making sure to get their tags in early. They're making sure to maintain those tags throughout. And honestly, it's just led to them being consistent. But we know that's what they're best at.
I think when we see the leaderboards,
these right here.
These right here.
We'll take
I'm wrong.
Top to bottom, Joe and Ziandi do take over. But I think the key factor here is in 6th place, Fastroki, Kylie, they get themselves that victory royale. They move up the 9 places, and now this is a duo looking to break in the top 5.
Yeah, this is massive for them as well, because out of the 4 set lobbies that they've played so far this season, they've only had 1 game that was in the top 10, and that was the game that they won in the semifinals. So if we're going to put pieces together here, every game they've gotten into the top 10 so far, they've actually managed to win. So this is massive for them starting already and moving up the leaderboards.
That was a fat shot, though, from Fastroki, just absolutely dominating Andy on the end point there. And a little bit tragic as well when you think about it for Andy, because this is just kind of seeming to be a little bit of a repeat from earlier rounds. They're just so close, but no cigar.
Exactly. Now, we have a lot of our top teams, Jonesy, Andy, Vadil, Janice, also a massive solo clutch for them. Loved it. Pinker and Ass, for a moment, were in 1st place. I saw the golden sparkles, because if we went the previous game, I think it was like 93, 93, 92 or something